Welcome to our channel. Today we are presenting a video, a throwback video, on Trump from promises to policy. What to expect now that the game is over. Enjoy and leave your comments. Thanks. The American people have spoken. The 2024 election delivered a decisive victory to Donald J. Trump, returning him to the White House for a second term. The Republican Party rode this wave, securing a commanding majority in both the House and Senate. This outcome marks a significant shift in the political landscape, raising questions and anxieties across the nation. What will a Trump presidency, emboldened by a Republican-controlled Congress, mean for the future of America? The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The Trump campaign was built on bold promises of change. He tapped into a deep well of discontent among voters, promising to make America great again. Trump pledged to revitalize American manufacturing, slash taxes, and repeal the Affordable Care Act. On immigration, Trump doubled down on his hardline stance, promising to build a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border and crack down on illegal immigration. He also took aim at China, labeling it a currency manipulator and threatening a trade war. These promises struck a chord with many voters, but also raised concerns among those who feared a more isolationist and protectionist America. With a Republican-controlled Congress, Trump is now in a much stronger position to enact his agenda. The legislative gridlock that characterized much of his first term is likely to ease, giving him a clearer path to implement his policies. However, governing is complex, and even with a unified government, Trump is sure to face challenges. Bipartisan cooperation will be essential for tackling the nation's most pressing problems. Public sentiment will also play a crucial role in shaping the policy landscape. How Trump navigates these choppy waters, balancing his campaign promises with the realities of governing, will define his legacy as president. Trump's economic message resonated deeply with a segment of the American electorate that felt left behind by globalization and technological advancement. He promised a return to an era when American manufacturing reigned supreme, offering a vision of well-paying factory jobs and a thriving industrial heartland. Central to Trump's economic platform was the promise of massive tax cuts, particularly for businesses and corporations. Trump also vowed to renegotiate trade deals, such as NAFTA, arguing that they had led to the outsourcing of American jobs. This protectionist stance, while popular with some, raised concerns about trade wars and economic instability. Healthcare was a central issue in the 2024 election, with Trump promising to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. He argued that Obamacare was too expensive and bureaucratic, vowing to replace it with a system that will provide better coverage at lower costs. Critics argued that his plan would leave millions of Americans without health insurance and disproportionately harm those with pre-existing conditions. Despite the lack of clarity, Trump's promise to dismantle Obamacare resonated with voters frustrated with rising healthcare costs and limited choices. Immigration was a defining issue of Trump's first presidential campaign and remained a central focus in 2024. He doubled down on his hardline stance, promising to further restrict legal immigration, crack down on illegal immigration, and secure the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump's signature immigration policy, the border wall, remained a potent symbol of his approach. Beyond the wall, Trump promised to reduce legal immigration and implement stricter vetting procedures for immigrants and refugees. These policies, while popular with his base, faced opposition from those who viewed them as discriminatory and harmful to the economy. The 2024 election marked a crossroads for American policy. With a Republican-controlled Congress, Trump had a clear mandate to enact his agenda, but also faced the daunting task of governing a deeply divided nation. The promises he made on the campaign trail, while appealing to his base, were met with skepticism and fear by many Americans. The economy, while showing signs of strength, remained vulnerable to global instability and trade wars. Healthcare costs continue to rise, leaving many Americans struggling to afford coverage. How Trump would navigate these challenges, balancing his campaign promises with the realities of governing, remained to be seen. With Republicans in control of both houses of Congress, the legislative landscape shifted dramatically in Trump's favor. Armed with a compliant Congress, Trump could now push his agenda with renewed vigor. One of Trump's top priorities was the repeal and replacement of the Affordable Care Act. Beyond health care, Trump sought to enact sweeping tax cuts, a cornerstone of his economic agenda. Trump also aimed to enact his vision for immigration reform, which included funding for his border wall and increased enforcement measures targeting undocumented immigrants. These proposals faced fierce opposition from Democrats and immigrant rights groups, setting the stage for a contentious battle. The power to appoint judges is a potent weapon in the hands of any president, and Trump wasted no time in using it to reshape the federal judiciary. With a Republican-controlled Senate, he faced little resistance in confirming his nominees, many of whom were chosen for their conservative credentials. The appointment of Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court cemented a conservative majority on the nation's highest court. These appointments had far-reaching implications for a range of issues, including abortion, gun control, affirmative action, and voting rights. Control of the federal budget is a powerful tool, and with a Republican-controlled Congress, Trump had the opportunity to shape government spending priorities to align with his agenda. One of Trump's top priorities was increasing military spending, a move that was met with approval from Republican hawks, but drew criticism from Democrats. Trump also sought to reduce funding for environmental protection agencies, arguing that regulations were stifling economic growth. The power of the purse also allowed Trump to target specific programs for cuts, often those that were popular with Democrats. These cuts, while relatively small in the grand scheme of the federal budget, were seen by Trump's critics as ideological attacks on programs that promoted social good and cultural enrichment. With the levers of legislative power firmly in his grasp, Trump unleashed a wave of economic policies designed to reshape the American economy in his image. Tax cuts, deregulation, and a confrontational approach to trade became the hallmarks of his economic blitzkrieg. The centerpiece of Trump's economic agenda was a massive tax cut package, heavily skewed towards corporations and wealthy individuals. Deregulation became another cornerstone of the Trump economic doctrine. With a stroke of his pen, Trump rolled back regulations across a wide range of industries, arguing that this would unleash the animal spirits of American capitalism. Trump's trade policy was equally disruptive, marked by a retreat from multilateralism and an embrace of protectionist measures. As Trump's economic policies favored the wealthy and corporations, the social safety net that had been painstakingly woven over decades began to fray at the edges. Programs designed to provide a safety net for the most vulnerable Americans faced funding cuts and ideological attacks. Healthcare became a particularly contentious battleground. Despite repeated attempts, Trump and the Republican-controlled Congress failed to fully repeal the Affordable Care Act, but they chipped away at its edges. Social Security and Medicare, programs that provide retirement security and health care to millions of elderly Americans, also faced an uncertain future. Trump's America first foreign policy marked a sharp departure from the post-World War II consensus. Alliances were strained, and the United States retreated from its role as a global leader. Trump's relationship with NATO was particularly fraught. He criticized allies for not spending enough on defense. These actions emboldened adversaries, particularly Russia. China emerged as a central focus of Trump's foreign policy. He launched a trade war with China, imposing tariffs on billions of dollars worth of goods. But he also praised Chinese President Xi Jinping. The trade war had a significant impact on the global economy. Trump's approach to the Middle East was equally unorthodox. He withdrew the United States from the Iran nuclear deal and recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. These actions further destabilized an already volatile region. As Trump's presidency progressed, the United States found itself increasingly divided, both domestically and on the world stage. Trump's policies and rhetoric inflamed partisan tensions and eroded trust in institutions. The political climate became increasingly toxic, with both sides retreating into their ideological corners. The January 6th attack on the Capitol highlighted the fragility of American democracy. On the world stage, Trump's America First approach left allies questioning the reliability of the United States. Adversaries sought to exploit a perceived power vacuum. As Trump's presidency ended, the United States found itself at a crossroads, grappling with profound challenges. Despite the Republican majority in Congress, Trump quickly discovered that even with the legislative branch seemingly aligned, the path to enacting his agenda was not always smooth. The complexities of governing, the inertia of bureaucracy, and the ever-present potential for political maneuvering created unforeseen obstacles. Certain Republican lawmakers, wary of alienating their constituents or harboring differing ideological stances, proved less than pliant when it came to rubber stamping every presidential decree. Moderate Republicans, feeling pressure from their districts, balked at some of the more extreme proposals, particularly in areas like immigration and social programs. Furthermore, the legislative process itself, with its inherent checks and balances, slowed down the pace of change. Bills faced amendments, compromises, and filibusters, often emerging from the legislative labyrinth significantly altered from their original form. Trump, accustomed to the swift decision-making of the business world, found himself frustrated by the glacial pace of Washington politics. Adding to the complexity, interest groups and lobbyists, sensing an opportunity to advance their agendas, descended upon Washington with renewed fervor. They lobbied lawmakers, launched public relations campaigns, and threatened legal challenges, creating a cacophony of competing voices that made it difficult to discern a clear path forward. While Trump enjoyed the unwavering support of his base, a significant portion of the American public remained deeply skeptical of his policies. Protests erupted across the country in response to his actions, demonstrating the limits of his mandate. Social media became a double-edged sword. Supporters spread his message, while opponents organized protests. The media played a crucial role in shaping public opinion. Trump's relationship with the press was adversarial, with frequent accusations of fake news. Public opinion polls showed a deeply polarized electorate. Trump's approval ratings remained historically low, but his base remained loyal. As Trump's second term progressed, his ambitious agenda faced significant hurdles. Legislative gridlock and public opposition meant many campaign promises remained unfulfilled. The border wall, a symbol of his presidency, remained incomplete. Healthcare reform, another cornerstone, remained elusive. Immigration reform also proved intractable. Despite setbacks, Trump's presidency had a lasting impact on American politics and society. Reflecting on American politics under President Trump's second term, his presidency has left an indelible mark on the nation, reshaping its political landscape and global standing. The aftershocks of his policies will continue to reverberate, leaving a complex and often contradictory legacy. Economically, Trump's tax cuts and trade policies delivered mixed results. Critics argue these gains primarily benefited the wealthy, exacerbating income inequality. Socially, Trump's presidency inflamed deep division in American society. His rhetoric on immigration, race, and gender ignited fierce resistance, while emboldening his base of supporters. The erosion of trust in institutions and rise of political polarization stand as stark reminders of the fragility of American democracy. In the aftermath of such a tumultuous period, it is more crucial than ever for Americans to engage in a thoughtful and informed manner with the political process. The decisions made in the years ahead will have far-reaching consequences, shaping the nation's future trajectory and impacting the lives of generations to come. Staying informed about policy debates, engaging with elected officials, and holding them accountable for their actions are essential components of a healthy democracy. It is through active participation, respectful discourse, and a willingness to bridge divides that a more just and equitable society can be built. The power of collective action, whether through peaceful protests, grassroots organizing, or simply engaging in meaningful conversations with friends and family, should not be underestimated. It is through these acts of citizenship that the values of democracy can be upheld, voices can be amplified, and change can be effected. As the nation charts a course through the uncharted waters of a post-Trump era, the challenges ahead are daunting, but not insurmountable. Addressing systemic issues such as income inequality, racial injustice, and climate change will require bold leadership, innovative solutions, and a renewed commitment to the common good. The need for unity and healing cannot be overstated. Bridging the partisan divide, rebuilding trust in institutions, and restoring civility to public discourse are essential steps towards creating a more perfect union. It is through collaboration, empathy, and a shared vision for a better future that the nation can begin to heal its wounds and move forward. The future of America rests not solely in the hands of its leaders, but in the hearts and minds of its citizens. It is through active engagement, unwavering hope, and a steadfast commitment to the principles of democracy that the promise of a more just, equitable, and prosperous nation can be realized.